on a bullish trend and gaining around 1.26% yesterday in the Nigerian stock market, basically. So the bullish momentum has been on, and we expect that to continue. So as the budget and then the focus and plan of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his budget for 2025, with the bullish trend on the stock market, then most of what was projected in the 2025 budget will be actualized. Talking about projections and stability, let's move on and talk about forex stability as it spikes optimism for the increase in investment in Nigeria. I would like to bring to your notice that the foreign exchange inflow through the nation's economy increased to 22.89 billion US dollars in the third quarter of 2024. The Central Bank of Nigeria economic report for the third quarter shows that the forex inflow through economy went up by 3.01% compared to 22.22 billion US dollars recorded in the second quarter of 2024. This shows from information from the central bank. So moving on, and then projection for this year for the forex investment, stakeholders in Nigerian communication sector are anticipating more investments this year on the back of the relative stability recorded in the forex market towards the end of 2024. If you notice, like I rightly mentioned, towards the end of the year, we notice a bit of stability, meaning the dollar exchanged around 1,535 naira to 1,538 naira, within that period. But in the black market, it was within 1,650 naira to 1,668 naira. That was what was recorded. So the projection for 2025 in the 2025 budget by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu says that Nigerian naira should be able to stabilize around 1,500 naira. So with this stability that we witnessed in the month of November and December, now the projection now is opening more room for FX investors. So looking at it now, we witnessed Eurobond investment, which came in the month of November and December, which helped stabilize the naira. Now projection and what the stock market has been doing is also showing that the projection of the naira being stabilized is actually going to remain because of the bullish momentum that we are witnessing in those sectors. So if we tend to see all of this momentum in those sectors, and then obviously the trajectory is actually going to continue, but still projections have also mentioned that in the month of March and April we'll be witnessing a bit of a dip if businesses and then the fasting period then does get into place. So while stability is expected to continue this year, the industry leaders are confident that the worst of the volatility witnessed in the foreign exchange market last year is over. So we are hoping that that is actually over. According to them, the decline value of the naira was not the main problem, but the high rate of instability in the forex market, which made planning very difficult for many of the telecom operators. Towards the end of last year, the official exchange rate at the Nigerian foreign exchange market hovered between 1,535 naira, like I earlier mentioned, and 1,538 naira to a dollar on the parallel market, where the exchange rate is traded on officially, and the rate average between 1,650 naira to 1,655 naira to a dollar, showing stability. So looking at this stability now, if this does continue, that means the president's budget didn't lie, as a whole lot of persons have argued that his budget was full of lies. And looking at the economic situation of the country, we wouldn't be able, that's Nigerian economy wouldn't be able to sustain the 1,500 threshold. But from what we are seeing now, fuel prices are coming down. Now a barrel is sold for around a barrel of crude is sold for around $79 US per barrel. Now we are witnessing that filling stations here in the Federal Capital Territory, some are selling at 945 naira, some are selling at 980 naira, depending on where you're buying. So when all of these prices are being cushioned down, so automatically production and then cost of food items, which is the major key of inflation worldwide, is actually going to be depreciating. So when we tend to witness all of this depreciation in all of these sectors, right, seeing fuel price coming down, then automatically crude price coming down, automatically the PMS price is also meant to decline. So if this declines then continue happening in the coming months, then we are expected to see the cost of food items also coming down. So with this stability that we are witnessing, it's now opening more avenue for foreign investment to come in, not just in the telecom sector, also other sectors that we have in Nigeria. So if you could remember last year, the coordinating minister also lessened taxation for deep sea oil investment. So automatically now that has opened room, but aside the tax being waived off for deep sea investments, insecurity is something else that Nigerians are calling for it to settle and then be addressed. So when all of these things are being put in place, insecurity being tackled, then we can have investors come in and then invest in those sectors, that is in the oil sector. Now let's talk about agricultural sector. If insecurity in our rural communities and those internally displaced persons can be able to go back home and farm, then we would automatically see that the food items in the markets by default is going to come down. Then the president himself wouldn't have need to order the market people, individuals to lower the price of their food items in the market. So if this does happen, then automatically we will see, just in Niger State, the state government actually made mention and then warned farmers not to go to farm because of some security threats that is ongoing within those sectors. So when these issues of security challenges get settled, then automatically farmers will be able to go back to the farms without wondering if they will be attacked or not. So looking at stability of the naira at 1,500, though Nigerians are calling for more decline, let the naira gain more momentum. Given the fact that it's floated, we are hoping to see more momentum with the Crude for Naira initiative. If that gets fully implemented, though it's implemented, but if Nigerians and then foreign investment get to come in more into the Nigerian system, I think it's going to help boost the naira and then give the naira more energy to be able to combat the US dollar. So looking at all of this, and then we are hoping again that the BRICS partnership between Nigeria and the BRICS nation is also going to yield more dividends to the Nigerian economy. We'll be going round today, as in we'll be going to Europe and also the Asian world as we talk about their current inflation rate in those major cities. But we'll be going on a quick break before we have this conversation. Please do stay with us. We'll be right back. Many thanks for staying with us. If you're just joining, this is Business Point on Global Television. Now, let's get into Europe, where German inflation rose to 2.6% in the month of December. The German has struggled with rising price due to the impact of COVID-19 pandemic and Russia's invasion on Ukraine. The German figure come one day before the Eurozone will release its December inflation numbers. German inflation rate climbed to 2.6% year-on-year in the month of December, faster than expected according to the preliminary data. The annual inflation rate was at 0.4%, higher than in November. Figure from the Federal Statistics Agency showed that the major drivers are energy price fell by 1.7% over compared with the previous year, while food price rose to 2% year-on-year in December. If you've noticed, like I rightly mentioned earlier, the main driver of inflation worldwide is actually food, and then the cost of food items is actually on the surge. And then what is the main reason behind this? Russia and Ukraine are one of the major exporters of grains. And now, since the Russian invasion on Ukraine happened, and then looking at the insurgents or the fight going on between Israel and Lebanon, as well as the Pakistans, all of these things is affecting business worldwide. We're now looking away from the fact that COVID-19 came in with its own pandemic and then came in with its own challenges. So looking at all of this now, it's driving the world's economy and then facilitating the growth of inflation, which is being driven majorly by food. So food prices rose by 2% year-on-year in December. That's in Germany. Data from the Statistics Office showed core inflation, excluding food and energy, rose to 3.1% in December, up from 3% in the month of November, 2.9% in October, and 2.7% in the month of September. This figure, which excludes two of the major volatile sectors, is regarded by many economists to be the most reliable representative of real inflation. One driver in the overall upward figure was no on goods, which had fallen to 0.3% in September, but rose in total to 1.1% in the month of December. Inflation in the service sectors remains stubbornly highly, nodding up slightly from 4% to 4.1% from November to December. Looking at all of this now, majorly is food and then household items. People have to always eat. So the fact that people eat and the fact that production is not on the rapid that it is always, food items tend to go high because, if let's say 5 persons go to the market to get a bag of grains and you only have 4, automatically the price is going to go up for the highest bidder to be able to purchase. So that is what is a major driver of inflation worldwide, not just in Nigeria. But you might be saying, yes, not just in Nigeria, but their own inflation is at 2.6%, but Nigeria is recording 34.7% thereabouts. We understand that the president has always also promised, Vice President, speaking about President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he has promised that come 2025, which we are in currently, in his budget, that inflation is going to come down to 15%, right? Business analysts and financial analysts have actually said that, yes, only a president, only a government has the power to be able to do that. There's a lot rolled up in the sleeves of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and we're hoping that it's going to start reflecting positively of Nigeria, because a lot of Nigerians said they really saw a whole lot in the year 2024 in terms of transportation and food items, and then monetary and fiscal policies being tightened by the Central Bank of Nigeria, and then lack of currency in circulation. All of those things were major drivers of the hardships that Nigerians suffered. Moving on, still talking inflation, not just Nigeria and not just in Europe, also in the Asian part of the world. Talking about Philippines now, inflation hits 2.9% in December 2024 as the December ended, and then looking at it, it also rose around 3.2%. Manila, Philippines, the Philippine Statistics Authority announced the headline inflation rose to 2.9% from 2.5%, which is recorded in the month of November 2024, bringing the full year 2024 inflation rate to 3.2%. The key driver still of their inflation still boils down to food. The 2024 inflation rate fell within the government's target range for the year. The PSA explained that in December, the inflation rate in December rose to December 2024 was driven by fast increase in housing, water, electricity, gas, fuel price, which rose to 2.9%, a 1 percentage point increase from 2024's 1.9%. Therefore, there was also an increase in inflation for recreation, sports, and culture from 2.4% in the month of November 2024 to 2.5% in the month of December 2024. Food inflation in December 2024 was recorded at 3.5%. Like I rightly mentioned, food is the key drivers. Household items are actually the key drivers of inflation. So Core inflation rate for at least month also increased to 2.8% compared to November 2024's 2.5%. The National Capital Region had the highest inflation rate increase, going from 2.2% in the month of November 2024 to 3.1% in December 2024. The main driver to the increase in inflation rate in the region was the higher annual increment in index of housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels at 3.0% in December 2024 from 1.5% in November 2024. The PSI made this known. Outside of the NCR, inflation also increased from 2.6% in November 2024 to 2.9% in December 2024. Inflation in Philippines, annual average inflation rate for 2024 stood at 3.2%, which was lower than the 2023 annual average inflation rate of 6.0%. So the agency explained the lower annual inflation was due to a slower annual average increase in food and non-alcoholic beverages price. Inflation for food and drink products increased to 4.4% in the year 2024, decreased to 4.4% in the year 2024, down from 7.9% in the year 2023. There was also a lower than average inflation for housing, water, electricity, gas, and other gas items in 2024, which was 1.7% in the year 2023 from 4.9%, except for education services and index of the rest of the commodities group recorded downtrend in the annual average inflation in 2024 compared to 2023, with the financial service recording an average annual decline of 0.6% in 2024 from a 0% annual average inflation in 2023. The agency says that the cost of education service increased from 3.6% in 2023 to 4.3% in 2024. However, the main driver of 2024's inflation were still basic essentials like food, non-alcoholic beverages, compared to 1.7 points of the overall annual inflation of 3.2%. So looking at these other angles, we saw restaurant and accommodation services contributed around 0.5% and then of 2024 inflation, while housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels contributed 0.4 percentage points. So looking at all of this now, what can be done to be able to settle all these problems? Now, I think the invasion of Russia and Ukraine needs to stop. Israel, Lebanon, and Pakistan need to also have a sit down so as they can sort out all of these things going on with Gaza. And then we are also looking at US and Canada. They are about to get into a trade war where we've never sorted the global food crisis that we are facing currently. So now if US and Canada also get into their own trade war now, this is also going to contribute to more rate of inflation in food items and other food items. So looking at all of this now, the major thing is peace in the world is actually going to help combat inflation basically. So businesses in the world is requiring that most of these backlogs and back and forth going on within these nations need to come to an end. And then the government needs to also create means and avenues to be able to help the individuals of each particular country to be able to navigate around the current trend going on in the Western world, so that this part of the world also would be able to come together and then have means for each citizen to be able to enjoy and then not to break their banks when they want to afford basic essentials. This is how much time will permit us to take on to this edition of Business Point. My name is Samuel Odi. I'll see you again tomorrow as we talk more business. Bye for now.